Imagine this. It's a Friday evening in April, about 11 p.m. Since tomorrow you have a big road trip coming up, it's better to fill up your car's tank because it's half empty. And since you do not want to go to the gas station alone, you invite a friend who lives nearby to keep you company for that very short drive. He agrees, and a few seconds later, as you're arriving by his place, you already see him coming. Once he gets into the car, you shake hands, crack a few jokes, and slowly start driving towards the destination. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, it starts gently raining. Your friend becomes serious for a few seconds, turns his head, and tells you, "You know what? This is a perfect evening." For a tiny moment, this somewhat shocks you. You sort of agree with him, but if you had to pinpoint why exactly it is a perfect evening, you couldn't. And I couldn't either. The weather was not perfect by any means. My mood was okay at best, and all the things leading up to this moment were not great at all. But as I was driving, talking to my friend, and trying so hard to see what was so special about that evening, I suddenly heard it. That quiet yet pleasant sound coming from my car's stereo speakers was none other than a song called "Let's Get Lost" by Chet Baker. And that was it. This was the last piece of the puzzle that I was looking for. Not the song itself, even though it's one of my all-time favorites, but Chet himself. Later that evening, when I returned home, my abstract thoughts turned into one precise sentence. Chet Baker turned an ordinary evening into a perfect one. But how? Even though I thought about this for quite a while, the answer, at least for me, could be summed up best in only two words: his voice. It may seem weird, but to me, Chet was always a singer first. Don't get me wrong, I still sometimes listen to his tracks where he just plays his trumpet, and they are gorgeous and all, but man, when he starts singing, it really is something else. Chet's voice is always so quiet and seems so intimate, as if he's almost whispering his most personal secrets straight to your ear. And in those rare instances where he puts a little bit more power behind his voice, tiny yet noticeable cracks start appearing, which have this almost "I am a shy teenage boy" quality to them. And that makes his voice sound so fragile, as if it's about to fall apart at any given second. And to a lot of people, it may seem like I just mentioned a bunch of drawbacks or shortcomings, which are detrimental to a jazz singer and the quality of his or her output. But to me, when talking specifically about Chet Baker, they suddenly turn into positives. Instead of having something that traditionally would be considered as a very powerful or a very masculine sounding voice, a la Frank Sinatra or Bing Crosby, I tend to sacrifice all these, in my opinion, completely arbitrary technical aspects of their singing, and instead I choose, at a first glance, a lot less impressive voice, which almost always ignites a calm feeling inside, and I feel as if I am being enveloped in a warm, invisible blanket on a rainy autumn evening. And there actually have been some rainy autumn evenings where I was lying in my bed, wrapped inside a warm blanket, with my phone right next to my ear, playing songs from the album Chet Baker Sings on the lowest possible volume, just to create the coziest possible atmosphere. And in those moments, it worked. Those evenings, no matter how sad or melancholic they really were, they were always made perfect by Chet Baker's singing. I would fall asleep with the song still quietly playing in my ear, making me feel again like that little boy who unexpectedly fell asleep in the backseat of a car during a family road trip and now needs to be very gently carried inside by his parents because they did not want to wake him up. And as I would wake up to a new day, I would try to think if my last night's dreams were affected by his music. And I think they were. The content of my dreams was not necessarily altered, but the atmosphere of them always seemed to be a little bit more relaxed, and the pace would also be a bit slower, and I would wake up better rested. So, in a way, Chet Baker's voice would sometimes become somewhat of a real remedy for me, a very soft and quiet painkiller that would take my mind off some quite painful things that I desperately tried not to think about, at least during that moment of the day. And that day, and many other days, and that particular evening driving in my car with my friend, all had one thing in common. With all its ups and downs, with all the rains and the winds, and the half-empty gas tanks, those days would actually not get better, but in a weird and a completely paradoxical twist, would at the same time become completely and utterly immovably perfect.